Out of Date says there'll be consequences of the war, but there are more pressing matters at hand. The last World Eater has been left undisturbed with the tree while you focused on the war. He thought someone with your light perspective and key would have had different priorities and faced the World Eaters before resolving the tribe war. Regardless, Out of Date is grateful the tribe war is over. Out of Date understands the road has been rough, but you already know what's left to end this journey, and it'll be tough. You're the only one that's strong enough to face the last. The future depends on someone with a light perspective to give the world a chance to survive. Only time will tell what the future holds, and if it will bring a lasting peace for those that make it to the end. Out of Date says the word about what you've done so far is spreading. The tribes haven't lost hope yet. He appreciates what you've done so far, but unfortunately he's had urgent news from his friend Wiz in the northwest. He's unsure about your intentions, but hopes you'll support Wiz. He says he'll point you in the right direction, but finding Wiz and making sure he gets what he needs is up to you. That doesn't sound good. Out of Date's hunch is real. The Merc Puff is up next. Out of Date says that Wiz is worried now that the Northwest World Eater is stepping up its activity. He explains that Wiz is working on an undersurf vessel in order to get to the World Eater, but needs help to get it done. Out of Date suggests that you should head northwest as fast as possible and see what you can do to help. He's happy to help. Says you'll meet again. The Surge Surf Factory. Keep your eye out for Wiz while you're here. Wuz isn't easy on the tongue, but I think he says he's happy to see a friendly face. Not too many of those around these days. Says it's good to see you again. He's Wiz. You might remember him from the old days when he let you try his octopod? Wiz remembers you were such a cheery kid, and he's glad to see that light hasn't faded from you, despite the years. But Wiz understands it was a long time ago, and memories get... He set up camp at the foot of the Tree of Life. It's gotten more difficult for it to find defenseless prey, as it's already eaten most of them. Wiz says our memory keeps things for us, preserves them until we are ready to face them again. He knows you've returned to face Looper Lupin, and that confrontation is as inevitable as the tides. He's not surprised that the loss of your family could plunge you into the depths forever, but you've always been able to rise like a bubble to the surface, no matter what. He knows that though the tides of history may push you in one direction, you can Ultimately, it's your choice. You were the one to be wronged and have lived with the consequences. He believes in consequence as it's a direct result of action.
Come toward the light.
Slow down. Why would you rush in?
When you see what you want, why wait?
Well, what about being careful?
Ha! Poppycock! Full speed ahead!
Asks if you ever think about freedom and whether any of us really has it. Maybe that's true for you, but he's not so sure about his own fate. Sad that the world is close to death. Wonders if he might be able to hold out a bit longer in an octopod. Impressed that you fought so hard to keep the world spinning. Fascinated you wound up working with the Jagni. He thinks of them not as makers, but takers. He's talking about important things, not homes. Things that matter to the wider world. But that's not nearly as important as this. Wiz says that you should let the past dwell in the depths. But there's something else down there too, gnawing at the Tree of Life. He's named it the Merc Puff. This is why he's tinker-tonkering with the octopod. But the lid got stuck, so he needs a big enough tug twister to open it up and let you a-go-in. He can't leave the surge station, so you must help him find a Getting that tool will help turn around the situation for sure. It'll definitely help him unshut the hatch. Nothing's more important right now than this. Don't want to point a finger, but the Mecha Stadium is near here. Need a key. Locked, but good. Just a few moves left. Make them count. It's a game of life, yours and everyone else's. You need to loosen the bolts without unsettling it. Just a few moves left. Make them count. That's too much distress. That's it. The tug twister's loose. Let's hope it turned the grabbing hand into a helping hand, too. You'd be drier in a swamp. He believed the tug twister would do the trick, but now realizes brute force won't do the trick. You need something slick. Well, he means slick as in greasy, so you can lube the hinges of the lid. He can't argue against the fact your fur's shiny. He says the lid should open if you sprinkle grease it. Problem is, he's all out. He knows his old friend Choo-Choo always keeps his grease sprinklers well filled. He should have an extra that you can borrow. He stresses that you should come back as soon as you've retrieved the grease sprinkler. The Merc Puff is crunching bark by the... Wants you to think of it as a black tar spritzer. The dead zone is full of that slimy black goo. It's good for fuel, but it's also slippy stuff. The Tree of Life still stands. Question is, for how long? reached the end of the line. Bet you can find Choo Choo here. Choo Choo knew you would make it to him one day. All you had to do was follow. Wonders who doesn't like rules or rails. They keep you on the straight and narrow and bring you right where you belong. Says you followed the rails to where you need to be, but tracks have switches in them too. The question is then, will you keep on the same track or look for a way to hit that switch? You seem like you're on the right track already. He just hopes you don't get sidetracked onto a darker path. Whichever way you go, he wants you to know that the rails never steer you wrong. Stick to them and they always bring you right to where you're meant to be. Wants to know if you've ever regretted taking one track in life instead. Likes your sureness, the way you keep at it like a chug-chug with no way to reverse. Feels like the world's on a runaway chug straight over a cliff. Can't thank you enough for hitting the brakes and working to turn the world chug around. Thinks you shouldn't work with the Jagni. They once tried to bolt one of their masks to his face. And it hurt, but he kept the mask, just in case. But let's not get derailed. Says he's surprised to see anyone this far out, but sometimes the wrong train does take you to the right station. As you can see, he didn't plan to make a stop here, but now that he had to, he's really happy to see you. He says his name is Choo Choo. He's been off track since the world started dying, but he's trained his mind to stay positive regardless of... Says sometimes life runs off the rails, but it's always better when they're good and greased. He's convinced the tracks are like the paths our lives take, and you must deal with the outcome, even if you didn't lay them yourself. This time, though, he was sidetracked and needs a new wing nut to get back on track. Wing nuts are easy to find, as they're fitted on any in-front chugger-chugger out there. The challenge says you're just like he used to be, a one-track mind, but going the right way.
Run, Dark, run!
It's not a race.
You only say that because you're losing.
That doesn't mean I'm wrong.
No, there are lots of other reasons you're wrong.
The wing nut chug tunnel. It goes on forever. You're maybe not sure you want to leave. Carving it up. The deep cut. Just a few moves left. Make them count. Just a few moves left. Make them count. Choo-Choo says he knew you'd come through. If someone makes a stop at your station, it's for a good reason, but he understands no one gets their tracks greased for free. He'd be happy to part with his spare grease sprinkler, as he believes it's a great fit for any of your business that needs to be unstuck. He keeps it safe in a box on the handcart. It's on the cart. He wants to keep it close by. In general, you won't have much time to act in case of an emergency. Choo-Choo says you should help yourself to the grease sprinkler. It's a versatile tool from the bygone, a last of its kind, so don't let it go to waste. He's convinced you'll put it to good use, as there are lots of stuckies out. Seems glad you think so. You're on the right rail. Choo-Choo says he can't wait to get out of this place. Wishes you goodbye. You shouldn't worry about smashing up the box. Choo-Choo has no use for it now. Choo-Choo says he feels strongly about helping his next, just like you did for him. He's convinced there was a bigger reason you met. Sometimes the wrong train will take you to the right place. He believes you've got what it takes to make a difference. He's figures everyone chooses their own path. The longer you ride the rails, though, the easier it is to travel with friends. Choo-Choo's thrilled you found the Ark. Just imagine how much needs no rails, no roads, nothing but air. With the world ending and all the chugs going with it, it's fun to think about what kinds of yards the Ark could take you to instead. Says he's happy to see the Ark in your hands. Knows you'll go great places with it and do some good. Wonders who you might call aboard the Ark with you.
So, what we have here is an...
Why? You don't need anyone else but yourself and me, of course, but I'm a part of you, so that doesn't count.
If you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go further...
But you know you can't go on without me. Even if I'm bad company, I complete you.
I think we can...
After spending a life on the rails, he's eager to ride the skies with you. Just let him pack his rollerboard, and he'll roll aboard. Choo Choo says he's ready to pack up and leave. Says you'll meet again. Every day is a new chance to fulfill your destiny.
Malo ang Japan talaga.
Wiz says that there's no plan to He knows you'll need something that packs enough boom to put a dent in that shell, or better yet, head. Pyro sticks will do the trick. He says his old friend Boom makes all things that go bang. There's a rumor that some of Boom's pyro sticks shot off and are out there roaming free. You should keep an eye on the horizon for pyros. If you're fast, you have a shot at catching some of them before they go off. He's a peculiar little fellow that's been fiddling with splodies since he was a kidling. It runs in his blood. Their family recipes pack a punch. Time to get a move on before all your chances slip on by. That's a bang plant, where Toxanol used to make all sorts of splody things before it blew up in their faces. That looks like an unbanged pyro stick on the loose. Better catch it before it goes off. The pyro sticks will cause a bang, but targeting is on you. At least he hopes so, as there's no Plan B, or more correctly, Plan C. Out of Date has named this Plan B. Plan A was to take on the World Eaters by foot, or flaps in this case. Turns out swimming down there was a bad idea. Wiz has been working on another cannon, but instead of pyrosticks, it squirts guppos, scaly distractions for anyone with an appetite disorder, and irresistible for the merc-puff in particular. Seems the best way to find guppos is go talk to Gil. He has a natural sonar and knows where the guppos sub the surf. This means you'll have to go visit Gil at Burblebottom. Guppos are lively beings, and they're fast too. They're here, there, and everywhere. Or at least they used to be. Control your destiny, or someone else will. This is Burblebottom, residents of... Happy to finally get to meet you. He's seen a lot of things. Figures it's impossible. As bad as the air might be, the goo is even worse. It must have been upstream only to get to this point in your histo-future. But which way are you going now? With the flow or against? It's crazy hard to flipper against the surf, but you can't save the world if you let it sweep you away. Either way, thinks life is like trying to ride a wave. You need to pick... Seems to him that there's always another wave coming along. Figures he's ridden his last wave, though, what with the world coming to an end. Can't thank you enough for fighting against the goo. Can't stomach how you hang with the Jagni. More than they could ever use until the end of the world, whether you save it or not. But none of that's nearly as important as enjoying the day, right? He never drank from this pond because of the disgusting things done there. Even the fish stopped drinking here after the pollution made the surf mucked and the air blocked his gills. He figures the Tree of Life isn't drinking. Figures you're right, but that doesn't mean he has to drink that. His friend Wiz needs guppos for one reason or another, and Gil is ready to point you in the right direction. But here, you're only going to find dead ones. He's pretty sure Wiz wants them alive. Well, at least the ones that aren't already rotting. If you head in the right direction, you'll find a clean... Helping both you and Wiz makes him double happy. For being cut off from the surface, this isn't too bad. Just a few moves left. Make them count. Dark time's finishing for now. Bolted shut. Brain gets any worse, you could dissolve. Just a few moves left. Make them count. Go make the most of the day. That seems to be enough guppos to provide the octopod with infinite ammunition. He's surprised the Merc Puff's been able to hold its breath all this time. It's just another proof of the evolutionary change caused by Toxanol's contamination. Being undersurf has meant the Merc Puff has been left alone to munch on the route down there undisturbed. This means the northwest route has suffered more damage than the others. The marks the corporation left behind on the land are everywhere, but they also abandoned technology of which he's sure you only found a fraction. That was the last of them. You've sealed the fate of the tribe and the tree. It's time for the end game. You have your destiny. Follow it all the way back to Out of Date. He never told anyone about what's next, but he's sure it involves you. Just continue to stay true to yourself and respect others whatever happens. You've become their pride, the guiding light of the tribe. It's time to return to the tree one last time. It's a new day to you. Might as well enjoy it. Out of Date says the signs of the end of the world are everywhere. It seems nature is preparing to take revenge. The day of reckoning is coming, and you are invited. He can feel you're approaching the end date. If you haven't decided whom of all like-minded, light-hearted beings you've met have earned a seat, then grasp your last chance to make sure Loopalupin stopped for good. The tree settled its score, but it left yours half done. He says you need to see Loopalupin eye to eye one last time. He's happy to help. Says you should take it easy. Wonder what you can find down here. The Sifu is seeking revenge too. He hasn't forgotten what Loopalupin did, but he also wants to... Now that the world as we know it seems to end, he wants to make sure the Lupin ends with it. He hopes you agree, even if it goes against your light-hearted nature. There's no room for predators in the world the Jagni tribe is building. But he knows this is your fight. You should handle it. Loopalupin's own fear was his shackles, not the roots of the tree. It just changed him. You have a chance to stand back and let the tribe handle it. Sifu is ready to step into the fray. Are the odds about to change in your favor? If a friend dies, something inside you dies. You can save the Sifu by making yourself a target. You're up. Shockwaves spread when the world crumbles. This is not a prophecy, me telling you about the future. It's you shaping it. Here's a vulgar display of power. The more he does, the stronger he becomes. It's time you remember who the real enemy is and stop playing the game his way. This is how it ends. The Predator and the world itself suffering. But at least it's a sign they're both still alive.
So, what we have here is a clear matter of life and death, and only you can...
You continue to make bad decisions and mistakes. Oh, it never ends.
It's easy to make a good decision when there's only one option. The only mistake here is you.
My mistake is letting you speak. My conviction is that the world would be a better place without your voice.
Convincing yourself doesn't win the argument. In the end, we won't remember the words of our enemies, but the silences of our friends.
The weak can't forgive. Forgiveness is a strength. It's not all life and death. It's no better time than now to accept a helping hand. Do you wonder what turn life might have taken if you'd done things different? A left when you went right? A yes when you said no? You saw a world drenched in its own cruelty and didn't sway from your path. And so, a great cataclysm draws close. Life doesn't care about heroes and happy endings. Bad things can lead to good. A seed of life, the beginning of something new. You balanced the dark within a world imbalanced in its light nature and made a difference in a place that needed change. You allied with the Jagni tribe and became omnipresent and, most importantly, feared. However, light and dark does simply represent the polarities of life. One can't exist without the other. This is how it begins. The world's headed towards rebirth of a primal paradise as evolution paves way. We're at the mercy of nature. So, trust your conscience to show you the way, and everything else will follow. But you're not alone. Those that shared your perspective and gained your trust will accompany you on your journey. Is there a world out there that's better suited for those imbalanced in their light nature than this one? Whether or not, we'll leave your story on record, so those who come after will know you let the world end to start anew, despite your light nature. So, when all is said and done, it turned out to be an unusual ending after all. What could be better than ending the story the right way? Ending it your way. A beginning of something new.